What's up, guys? This is Devon with Legacy Impact Coaching, and I was on my way home, and this question popped in my head. And the question is something I want to pose to you right now, and I want to ask you this. If the change, the breakthrough, or that aha moment that you're looking for in your marriage were to take place, would you recognize it? Would you recognize the change that you've been praying for in your relationship? I ask this question because as my wife and I do couples coaching and even some individual coaching, we recognize that a lot of times in marriages that husbands and wives are unaware that true change is actually happening. They're so close to the action. They've been struggling for so long in some cases that they just operate out of their struggle, out of their pain, and they don't realize when their spouse is beginning to change their behavior or beginning to change a pattern or a way of thinking. And that's part of the work that we do, is that we help couples recognize that we're outside perspectives, and we're that objective party looking into their relationship as they unpack struggles, as we help them work through things. We help them recognize the small victories, and we help them celebrate the small wins. And so I want to encourage you to adopt that to your relationship. I want you to recognize that this change that you've been praying for, that you've been believing for, that you've been, in some cases, arguing about, you've spent money on coaching, you've spent money on counseling, those things are all good. But I want to ask you again, is the positive change you've been hoping for actually happening and you're not recognizing it? Something to think about. Now, why does this happen? Let's talk about that for a minute. Why do couples struggle to recognize that change is happening? And a lot of times it's because they've operated for so long, like I said, in negative patterns. They've operated in ways in which they're just accustomed to something bad happening. For example, let's say that I always discredited my wife when she brought an idea to the table. And I did that for 7 or 8 years or what have you. Now, all of a sudden, let's say, for example, I decide I want to change, or I work with a coach and they point that out as a key area for me to work on. And I begin to change. I begin to accept her ideas. And we're having a conversation. And she says, "You never like my ideas." Now, if I've done the work and I'm changing, I never discredited her idea, I never said anything negative, I just kind of said something positive, and maybe she saw something in my nonverbals that made her think that I didn't like her idea, and she just runs with it. And he says, "See, I don't want to talk anymore about it because you always reject my ideas." Now, my actions were totally different. She read into my nonverbals out of the vein of the way that I used to respond or the way that I used to act. And that's what happens in relationships. That's why relationships go around this vicious cycle sometimes, because they don't take time to recognize that change is actually happening, because they're so accustomed to the negative way that things have transpired previously. So it's really a good idea to take an account and to really acknowledge and recognize and do an assessment. Maybe you got to do what I'm doing. Take a drive around on your way from work and just really think about what's happening in your relationship and really ask yourself that question. Is genuine change happening, even in a smallest little way? Is something positive happening in my relationship that wasn't happening a year, 2 years, 5 years ago? And if so, I want to encourage you to really acknowledge that and to really thank God for it, number one, but also to thank your spouse if they've done something positive, if they're working and making a change and you see that change. Don't be prideful and refuse to share that with them. Give them some positive feedback. You don't have to go get balloons and have an airplane fly over with a banner. You don't have to do all that stuff. You don't have to hire a band or anything to show up and really acknowledge it, but at least say, "Hey, thank you. I noticed some things are changing with you," or "I noticed you didn't respond X, Y, and Z. Thank you for doing that." And just walk away. Just walk away. I'm sure it would do them some good, and I'm sure it would do some good for your relationship. Now, also, let's say that you are the person that needed to change and you see yourself responding in a way that's positive. Give yourself the credit. Give yourself a pat on the back. Fist bump yourself in the mirror. Whatever you got to do, really take time this week to acknowledge the small win and to celebrate that small win. If this video has been of any benefit to you, in your marriage, I want you to like it, share it, and subscribe to our channel right now. Do it right now. My wife and I would love to have a follow-up conversation with you. Let us know in the comments how it's helped you. What are some of the good things that are happening in your relationship? We love to hear from you. You can also follow us on Instagram. We do a lot of marriage coaching and a lot of inspirational moments there on Instagram. So follow us there too and share the love, because we want to help you improve your legacy. We help couples improve their communication, their connection, and their affection. We can do the same for you. We would love to connect with you real soon. All right, we'll see you next time.